This is the Moraine Valley Library Podcast. I'm Troy.
Hello, I'm Joe Malarkey.
Hi, and I'm Tish.
And today we're going to do a short podcast about our upcoming One Book, One College selection for the 2015-2016 academic year, which is the book Illegal: Reflections of an Undocumented Immigrant by José Ángel N., who's going to be coming to campus this fall. We chose this book for a number of reasons. We're excited because Jose is a former student of ours from Moraine Valley and has gone on to do many things, including publish this book about his life.
And I think we're also really excited to talk about immigration because it's been such a hot-button issue in political debate, and then also it affects the realities of our students on our campus.
All right, so I've been hearing about the book for several months, and it led up to, now, didn't it start with somebody recommended it to you who was a faculty member or a former faculty?
Yes, I first learned about the book from two former Moraine Valley teachers who actually had Jose as a student and that he's kept in touch with over the years. So it's published by the University of Illinois Press, and he'd done some book signings, and they said, this is something you may want to do. And the nice thing with this book is it's very personal. It's not very long, so it's actually very accessible by our students. And I think it hits themes that will allow it to be used in different classroom settings.
Okay, so then catch me up on this because I didn't get to read it yet. They were both hogging the copies, and I didn't get my own. So give me an idea of the kind of issues that this story brings up, because it's autobiographical,
right?
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Let me start there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and it's also memoir. Okay, it's personal writing, and then the thing is, what else? I mean, basically, without telling his whole story, because we're hoping that people are going to read it. Yeah. Give me an idea of what else I'm going to learn about.
I mean, it really is this journey where he starts literally going through tunnels from Mexico into San Diego, making a trip across the border, and finds his way to Chicago, works in food service, starting washing dishes, any job he can get, and then finds his way into higher education. He learns English. It's really a fantastic story of reinvention and like that kind of American dream. But for me, the kind of real kind of thing that grasps at you when you finish it is that it's like, he's found this success, but because of his undocumented status, can't go all the way to really fulfill that dream. And I think that leads us into all kinds of interesting discussions about our society and immigration issues and all of that. And I think it's a great... it's a way to personalize it and localize it for us, but also have a good context for these broader conversations.
One of the ways I think Jose makes really apparent this inability to fully realize the American dream is in his acquisition and use of language. So when he arrives in the U.S., of course, he knows no English. He speaks Spanish, and he is early on convinced of his need to learn English, that the only way to be a member of this society would be to be an English speaker. So he puts his mind to it and goes to ESL classes, and he does really well, but with his acquisition of English, he starts to lose his Spanish, and he speaks at length in one of the chapters about how that starts to separate him from his family, from his... from the community that he, started with in America. And he, because of his accent, his spoken English, he struggles with. So he is never fully a part of American society either. He's always identified as an outsider.
Yeah, it's like this kind of limbo state where you can't go back home, but you're not really fully here either.
And one of the great things about the book is, he speaks about, his accent and how it separates him from American society. But when you're reading the book, his language is beautiful. He has an amazing grasp of the English language. His writing's really metaphoric and full of imagery. There's just this great section when he's talking about people identifying him as a Spanish speaker, as a new English speaker, that I thought was beautiful and thought I'd read a bit of.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So he says, they wish to share my tongue to possess it. They imagine their membership amid a congregation of dancing flames, an electric current that sparks in the brain, a secret urge that burns at the tip of the tongue, a sudden combustion that blazes down the bloodstream, the mariachi trumpet echoing, exploding like a tumultuous fiesta in the lower chambers of the heart. Like, that's just beautiful writing. And there's so much of it throughout the book that it's an easy read. It's really pleasurable to read, and I don't know, I think hurt for him that he cannot be fully immersed in the society he wants to be immersed in.
Yeah, and I think along with that, I love the philosophical references. You can see his education come through because he was a philosophy major, as he notes, and that he's connecting his thoughts with this also broader picture. But it's not overbearing, and it's something that you can, you don't have to have a philosophy background to get either. So it's well done.
Mm-hmm. All right, so without giving away the entire book, because I think that was great to read a section of it and stuff, and we really want to encourage other people to read it, but then what other issues would you mention, just briefly, that this book brings up?
I think it's really great that he was a student here, and we mentioned that before, but a large part of his journey is his educational journey. So he starts by getting English as second language classes at South Suburban. He comes to Moraine Valley to get his associate's degree. He goes on to UIC to get a bachelor's in philosophy, and then he even gets a master's in Latin American literature. And through that entire time, like, he clearly loves education. He loves learning. But that learning, again, is this thing that starts to separate him from the community that he is a part of. And he's left kind of in limbo. And because he doesn't know the educational system, he makes choices that he questions, looks back and thinks, maybe that wasn't the best choice for me.
Right. And I think another key thing that this brings up is connected to that is just the political realities around being an undocumented immigrant. And I think it's a really big issue in our countries, grappling with reform or not reform and what's right and what's wrong. And obviously there's going to be people that will have many differing views on this, and it's great that he offers us a very personal view about immigration. And I think just immigration in general, over the history of this country, we're proud of the fact that we're this melting pot of immigrants. But then when you look at the individual cases, the kind of difficulties, the historically, I think there's a richness there that we can talk about what the realities of immigration really are about. And I think that's hopefully something our faculty will run with this fall.
And it's something that the whole One Book program has been about, is trying to have uncomfortable conversations or conversations about uncomfortable topics, but really significant and important ones. Right. Is there any event that you want to sort of promote as we're wrapping up?
Yeah, just two quick things connected to that. On September 22nd, our political science department will be having a panel discussion about immigration and immigration reform, especially in light of the approaching presidential primaries, which will be next year.
Yeah.
And then September 15th is Jose himself is coming to campus at 11 a.m. We'll be speaking in the library, so we hope people come to that. And probably in closing, we just may want to say a quick thing about the title of the book itself, which is illegal, and that has raised some eyebrows because that's a term that some folks don't like to use and others like to use, undocumented, and he's taken it as his title, and I think it's striking.
I think it's definitely striking, but I think he uses it to make a point about his life and his role, because when you read this, you realize how integrated he is into American society, and that his status as illegal does not define who he is. And I think that's one of the reasons why we want to try to use terms like undocumented immigrant, so that it doesn't have impact or create a sense of pushing away or making alien the people who are here, who are part of our society, who just don't have papers.
Yeah, exactly. So we invite all of you who are listening to join us this next year, read the book, and join our conversations.
We hope we've grabbed your interest. This is Joe saying goodbye.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.